Raider Nation, things are getting real. I know you want the good news, you want to see the team on top, but my job is to give you the raw, unfiltered truth, like it or not. There are moves happening behind the scenes that nobody has properly explained, and the pieces just aren't fitting the way they should. Are we being played, or is there a genius strategy we just don't get yet? The uncertainty is what defines us right now. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stick with me, because what I'm about to tell you is absolutely critical. It doesn't make sense, and the more we look into this Terry and Arnold situation, the worse it gets. The NFL was hit with a bombshell this offseason when those accusations against the former Lions first-rounder came out. Kidnapping and robbery. We are talking about serious charges, stuff that stains not just the player's rep, but the integrity of the league itself. The Lions, faced with the gravity of it all, had no choice but to cut ties. And now, what we've got is a generational talent sitting in free agency, but he's carrying a load of baggage that no coach in their right mind would want in their locker room right now. According to reports from Ben Maller over at Fox Sports, the situation is more active than we thought. Arnold's lawyer let it slip in court that there are 3 unidentified teams that reached out immediately after he was cut. And this is where it starts getting messy. The Raiders' name popped up on that list, right along with the Browns and Kansas City. If this actually goes down, if Las Vegas is really thinking about bringing this drama into our house, I have to ask, what is the front office thinking? Is this a masterstroke to fill a technical need, or a lapse in judgment that's going to cost us way too much in team culture? Arnold himself tried to fuel this fire in the past. He went on a podcast and claimed the Raiders intended to draft him, that there was some kind of coin flip situation between him and Brock Bowers. But get this, Antonio Pierce was very direct in denying any coin flip or any call. That has me scratching my head. Is the guy's agent trying to use past interest from the Raiders just to pump up the value of a client in a desperate spot? Or is Pierce trying to shield the team from unnecessary drama? It's a dangerous game of smoke and mirrors, and the fans are stuck in the middle, not knowing who to trust. But hold up, because what comes next is what really tips the scales. Let's be real about the reality of our roster. A few months ago, chasing that kind of talent might have made sense. But today, the Raiders re-signed Eric Stokes, brought in fresh blood in the draft with Jermod McCoy and Hezekiah Masses, and we've got Darian Porter, who's looking ready for a breakout. Our cornerback room is young, hungry, and most importantly, clean. Bringing in Arnold right now is just begging for distractions, for the press to swarm the training facility and ask questions that have nothing to do with football. Is this a good move or a mistake that could cost us our peace? I believe his talent is undeniable, but the math just doesn't add up. If he clears his name, if the justice system proves it was all just a misunderstanding, then the conversation changes. But right now, he is a liability. And the Raiders, under Pierce, need stability, not another chapter of drama. The fans have suffered enough with uncertainty. The question hanging in the air, and one I want you to think about, is, are we ready to sacrifice our standards for a player who might or might not give us immediate return? The streets are talking, but the final call is what's going to set the tone for our defense the rest of the season. The front office's silence on this is deafening, and maybe, just maybe, it's a sign they know exactly how much danger this signing represents. This is one of those stories that makes you question how much the media really understands what goes on in the NFL trenches. Maxx Crosby, just saying the name, you know we're talking about a guy who redefines what it means to be a Raider. There was a lot of speculation this offseason about a possible trade to the Ravens for 2 first-round picks. The deal fell through because of a physical, and that alone caused an earthquake on social media. But here's the question that needs answering. Is Crosby's market value being measured correctly out there, or is he the most underrated player under the spotlight? Well, while the media tries to find flaws, the executives, coaches, and scouts around the league have no doubts. In a recent analysis by ESPN, Crosby was ranked as the 4th best pass rusher in the entire NFL. And if you talk to guys in the front office, you'll hear them putting him at number 2. That is a massive gap between public perception and the reality on the field. An NFC exec was blunt, using terms I can't even repeat here, but making one thing clear: the guy is a force of nature. Against the run, against the pass, it doesn't matter. He simply doesn't stop. And it's that infinite motor that seems to scare some people while it fascinates others. But wait a minute. There is something we need to look at closely. Where there's smoke, there's fire. The Ravens' concern about his knee wasn't for nothing. That meniscus tear last season is a red flag we can't ignore. He's been an Iron Man, but that relentless effort that makes him great is, ironically, what's putting his longevity in question. He hates coming off the field, he wants to be in on every play, but is that stubbornness to be the savior on every single snap costing us too much? Is that leadership, or is it reckless behavior that could compromise our star? We love Max, we identify with his grit, but the reality of the NFL is brutal. Playing injured, demanding the maximum from your body every single week, that has a limit. Maybe, and I say this with a heavy heart, the team needs to convince him that for the good of the franchise, he needs to be managed smarter. It's not about less effort, it's about longevity. If he goes down, our defense falls apart. And we saw that happen the last 2 years when his absence in critical games cost us in the end. A lot of analysts say he's the Raiders' only weakness because of that physical resistance, but I ask, isn't our over-reliance on him the real problem? Looking at the current scene, he's ahead of guys like Nick Bosa and TJ Watt in the eyes of league experts. That puts a huge weight on his shoulders, but also on the coaching staff. If he wants to be a legend, he has to understand that championships are won in January, not just September. Let's hope this new phase is marked by durability, not another battle against his own body. What do you think? Is it time to manage our monster so he's flying at the end of the season, or do we let him play the way he's always played, even running the risk of another shutdown? The answer might just define our fate. Look, if there's one thing you can't accuse this management of being, it's cheap. The Raiders decided, once and for all, that they weren't going to watch our quarterback running for his life every snap anymore. The heavy investment in center Tyler Linderbaum, with an $81 million contract, isn't just a market move. It's a declaration of war against the mediocrity we've seen on our offensive line the last few years. And it didn't stop there. Spencer Burford came in to provide depth, and Trey Zune III was the strategic pick in the draft. With Colton Miller back, the anchor of our protection, the table is set for our rookie Fernando Mendoza. But what really makes me believe and, at the same time, keeps me cautious is this chemistry that's forming before the ball even snaps. Mendoza himself, on Maxx Crosby's show, talked openly about how he and Linderbaum spent the last few weeks swapping notes, living in the same hotel, going through the daily grind of the training center. That's the kind of connection that doesn't show up on a salary cap sheet, but wins tight games in the fourth quarter. Mendoza is a rookie, but he seems to have his head on straight, looking to understand the why behind every protection call from the veteran Linderbaum. Now, let's be honest. Is this a good move or a mistake that could cost us dearly if the expectations aren't met immediately? We know how our fan base is. If Mendoza takes too long to get going, or if the offensive line doesn't turn from water into wine overnight, the pressure is going to be unbearable. Mendoza has already made it clear. He wants to learn everything Linderbaum has to offer, from blitz recognition to controlling the run game, where the partnership with Ashton Jeanty is going to be vital. Linderbaum is the conductor in the middle, pointing out the dangerous linebacker, adjusting the scheme. It's massive responsibility for a center, but that's exactly what we paid for. And that's not even the most worrying part, because we've seen talented rosters on paper go down in flames because of bad communication. The big question isn't whether they have the talent, but if Mendoza will be able to absorb that veteran intellect fast enough by week 1. Are we looking at a real rebuild or a luxury build that still needs to prove it can play high-level football? The relationship between center and quarterback is the backbone of any successful offense. If they're on the same page, we can dream big. If there's any noise, any breakdown in understanding, the opposing defense is going to smell blood. What I want from you now, fan, is a reflection. Is this chemistry between our future quarterback and our new pillar on the O-line enough to make the Raiders a contender this season, or are we still masking deeper problems? The ball is in their hands. The scene we've painted today isn't for amateurs. We've seen the Terry and Arnold drama, the unbearable weight on Maxx Crosby's shoulders, and the high-stakes gamble on our O-line with Linderbaum and Mendoza. All of that, put together, paints a picture of a team that is trying desperately to change its fate before the fans' patience runs out for good. It's a roller coaster of emotions and decisions that teeter on the edge of genius and tragedy. We're on the knife's edge, Raider Nation. They say time will tell, but I don't like to wait. Is this management playing a dangerous game or a brilliant one? Your opinion might be the next big debate in our nation. So smash that like, subscribe to the channel, and comment right now. Are we on the path to triumph, or are we digging a hole with no way out? The floor is yours.